Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. Today is Monday, May 13th, 2024, and the time is 4 p.m. Mr. Rugg, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to pull item 6.1 from the consent calendar.
All right, so it'll be part of the regular meeting. Okay, very good. Anything else?
No, Mayor.
All right. Now time for comments from the public. Do we have any cards? Very good. We'll turn to members on the dais. President Ward.
No comment, thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Lambert.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
No comments, Mayor.
And Commissioner Fox.
No comments, thank you.
Very good. Okay, we will now consider the consent calendar with the exception of item 6.1, so that'll be 6.2 is the only item on consent. Any discussion on consent? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the items on consent.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now turn to item 6.1. Resolution number 24-14, authorizing the purchase of 622-624 7th Street, issuance of a lease buyback option agreement and assignment of tenant improvement contract with Harnett Group LLC, and resolution number 24-24, accepting the assignment of a contract for the improvement of the property located at 622-624 7th Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, to accommodate a restaurant, approving an amendment and assignment of contract amount for Eaton Cake LLC, Hartnett Building Group LLC, and the agency. Mr. Rugg.
Thank you, Mayor. As staff was preparing this item, one minor note that we would like to change, and we have spoken to Mr. Greg Eaton of Eaton Cakes, is to actually change the rental term on the lease buyback option. Currently, it reads 1 to 20 years at $2,250.33 per month. And we would like to reduce that from a 20-year lease term to a 5-year lease term. And at that point, Mr. Eaton can either buy the building or it will come back to the board for further consideration. It's just that one change to the lease agreement, Mayor.
So changing it from a 20-year period to a 5-year period.
That is correct.
Very good. Any questions, comments, commissioners? Hearing none, you don't have any cards, right? All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of resolution number 24-17.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1, resolution number 24-17, approving an amendment for an extension to the agreement for a conveyance of real property located at 520 Northwood Road. Mr. Rugg? Oh.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Kelsey King. I am the CRA Project Manager for the Northwood Village Pleasant City CRA District, and I will be presenting on behalf of Skunkworks LLC for their conveyance agreement extension. So a little background, Skunkworks is owned and operated by Stephen Carlson for the original location at 525 Northwood Road. It currently operates as a brewery. In April of 2019, they submitted a bid to convert the location at 520 into a barrel house. The initial proposal was for $15,000, but was conveyed at no cost with the condition that Mr. Carlson would not be eligible for any additional incentives or funding from the agency. So the original resolution 20-56 was approved in January of 2020 as a purchase and sale agreement.
Can we pause, Mayor? I have a point of privilege. I said 24-17 and I meant 24-14 for the past a motion, so we need to amend that just for the record purposes.
Okay, but
Sorry.
we'll put a pin in that. And
Okay, I just
let's
wanted to, okay.
come back to this.
Okay.
Continue, please.
So the extension will be on the south side of Northwood Road. It is depicted on the upper left-hand corner at 520 Northwood. It will be a controlled climate space with 300 wooden caskets and will jointly operate as a brewery tap room. The original location of Skunk Works is at 525 and is shown in the bottom left-hand corner. The top right photo shows the 520 location with the yellow star, and the original location 525 is depicted by the red star, showing their proximity to each other. So the original agreement gave Mr. Carlson 12 months from the issuance of building permits to finish his project. There were a couple delays that caused the agreement to lapse, and therefore he did not finish in time. The first one being that the title was not in his name, and during that time, he had also converted the project from a one-story to a three-story concept. So he finally went back to the one-story design due to contractor feedback, that being that the additional height would keep the project extended by a couple years, and then also it would also increase the pricing of the project. So the proposed agreement is to extend the permitting deadline out from 3 weeks from board approval, that deadline being June 3rd. Within 6 months after permit approval, he will have to complete the structural work and the roof completion. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing will have to take 4 months, and then the last 2 months will be for inspections, licensing, and CO issuance. Staff recommendation is to approve Resolution 24-17. It supports achievement of Goal 2, which is promoting targeted businesses as a way of revitalizing existing buildings and vacant lots in the village. And that concludes his presentation.
Very good. Any questions or comments?
Mayor,
Yes.
it's also important to note that the Skunk Works is also a great place where a lot of Panther fans hang out, and I just bit a privilege that the Panthers are up 3-1 in the series. Thank you, Mayor.
I wonder why that reference was on that little deck that you had there. I thought it was a typo. Okay, all right, very good. And I'm glad you clarified that for us. Any other questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 24-17.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now, let us return to item 6.2. And Commissioner, no, I'm sorry, yes, 6.1. Commissioner, you're going to remake your motion?
Yes, I need to amend my motion to state that I move to approve resolution number 24-14. Second.
Don't we have two resolutions there? You're going to do both of them?
Both resolutions need to be made, but the one that we are changing is 24-14,
All
just
right,
for the record.
okay. But we need a motion for both, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. You want to try this again, Commissioner? Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm? Okay, resolution number, I move to amend my initial motion to move approval of resolution number 24-14 and move approval of resolution number 24-24.
All right, very good. First of all, I guess to do the amendment, we need the approval of the seconder.
I approve.
Okay, very good. Now, we have them both on the table, if I'm correct.
Second.
Any comments or questions on the motion as amended? Hearing none. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, legal, we okay with that then? Yes, sir. Okay, very good. All right. I do believe, no, we got item 7.2. Resolution number 24-18, approving an agreement among the city, the Community Redevelopment Agency, and 300 Banyan LLC for the construction of improvements along Banyan Boulevard on the north side of the 300 Banyan Boulevard project.
Good
Ms.
morning.
Aponte.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. And I'm
Mayor.
gonna-
Excuse me. I need to recuse myself on this matter and on 7.3. I apologize.
That's okay. It's good to see you, Commissioner. Yeah, thank you. Glad you could join us just in time to recuse yourself. If you hadn't come in, you wouldn't have had to make that announcement, but thank you. Thank you. That's fine. Okay, now,
This is a little bit of background on this item. The construction of the streetscape for Banyan Boulevard started a couple of years ago and were completed. Phase 1 was completed in 2023. Phase 1 included the portion from Australian Avenue to Quadrille Boulevard. You can see in the picture the improvements included bike lanes, new sidewalks, a new landscape, and streetscape. So those were completed. The Phase 2, that is the portion between Quadrille Boulevard and Flagler Avenue, Flagler Drive, were scheduled to start later this year, but due to cost increases, we will need to reassess the project, and the project will not start at least for the next 6 months, and it will take some time to restart construction of these improvements for the Phase 2. So considering that the Banyan Phase 2 improvements delay will impact the completion of the streetscape and utility improvements originally scheduled for the project along Banyan Boulevard, and the project will impact the project adjacent to it for the 300 Banyan LLC. It's a new office building. It's a 12-story office building on the corner of Olive and Banyan. The project is already under construction, and to avoid any negative impacts on the new project, the staff has worked with the developer of 300 Banyan on certain terms to allow the construction of the improvements in front of their project. So the agreement presented in front of you for Resolution 2418, it's an agreement between the city, the CRA, and 300 Banyan LLC to allow the required utility improvements adjacent to the new office building to be performed by the building contractor. The improvements, in a sense, include utility work, and it's asphalt paving and restriping of the street. The cost of the improvements are $407,135. They will be basically paid with the funds that were originally allocated for the Banyan Streetscape project, that is a bond project. If the utility work is not completed right now with the developer will not be able to complete their streetscape improvements, or if they move ahead and complete the streetscape improvements, the city will have to come back later and basically demolish those improvements to do the utility work and then install them again. So this is kind of a good way to do it. They can move ahead with the project. The project will look complete in front of their building, and the city will not expend additional funds afterwards to complete it. So staff recommends approval of Resolution 2418, approving an agreement between the city, the CRA, and 300 Banyan LLC to allow utility improvements associated with the Banyan Boulevard Streetscape project to be performed by the building contractor. A companion item to this, Resolution 87-24, will be presented tonight at the City Commission hearing. These improvements follow Amendment 18 of the CRA Strategic Finance Plan, which identifies Banyan Boulevard Streetscape as a key project for the district due to the pedestrian and vehicular improvements that are being proposed. That concludes the staff presentation.
thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-18.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.3, resolution number 24-26, approving a term sheet for the development, lease, purchase, and sale of property located at 314 Clematis Street to a joint venture of Brand Atlantic LLC and Blue Water Advisors LLC. Mr.
Mayor, yes. Thank you, Mayor. Chris Rugg, Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. I've been working on this personally and am really excited to bring this opportunity to the board. We have the proposer that the term sheet is with us, Andrew Dance from Blue Water, or I'm sorry, Andrew, Brand Atlantic. And he'll present here in a moment. But initially, I'll just do a quick overview of the notice of disposition and the asset that we have, which is 314 Clematis Street. I'll talk about the terms that are in the term sheet, and then I'll invite Mayor, if it's the pleasure of the board, invite Andrew to come up and talk about his plans for the structure, which is very exciting, and then we're happy to answer any questions that the board may have on the item before you. So just quickly, for any of those that maybe are watching at home, it's 314 Clematis Street is in the heart of downtown, between Dixie and Olive Avenue. We've got Old City Hall site to the west and Drama Works to the east as a couple of points of reference, and it is right smack dab in the 300 block of Clematis Street. So last year, in the fall, the board issued direction to put out a notice of disposition. That has occurred, and it was issued on October 20th. We received 2 proposals. Unfortunately, we were only able to consider one of them. The other one was not able to be considered for a variety of reasons, zoning rules and things like that. So the term sheet before you is really just sort of expediting the one proposal that we have, which is with Brand Atlantic, on what their proposal was, which, as I mentioned, is pretty exciting. These proposals were reviewed by, if you recall, we had BDO do an analysis of the assets. They looked at it. Of course, CRA and city staff also did an analysis of it, and it received some thorough vetting. Just as a quick notice, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I did want to put up the terms that we put in the notice of disposition. So these are all the different things that we've asked for. I do want to draw attention to the 2 underlined items, which was because we wanted to build in a little more flexibility in proposals, we did offer the ability for a lease to own option, which is the first bullet to the left. But that being said, we also wanted to make sure that this asset became activated. So what we asked for was that clear understanding of when we can expect this building to become fully renovated and activated with a tenant with a reopening date. There was a lot of other information, and the proposal that you have before you tonight did meet the criteria that we put out in the notice of disposition. So now getting into the terms, as I mentioned, Brand Atlantic was the sort of point person on, or the point entity on this proposal. They are 10% operator, and Blue Water Advisors is the 90% joint venture partner on it. They are prepared to put $10 million into this asset for a lot of really great uses that I think will benefit the activation of the street. $7.6 million purchase over a 5-year period with the schedule listed below. It does have an escalating payment with the option to actually pay off sooner, but ultimately at the end of the 5-year period, there is a balloon payment that finals out the remaining balance of $5.2 million. Just to emphasize the redevelopment budget, it is substantial. So the term, there's 3 main criteria that's needed for delivery. They have to have the evidence of funds. We want to make sure that it is going to be successful over time and that there is a healthy operating budget. As I mentioned, and as we asked for in the notice of disposition, there is a very clear schedule of when this asset needs to be submitted for building permits, redesigned, and then as well as completion of construction. There is, they built in, I think, a pretty good time frame for building permit submittal and the commencement of renovations, which is very, very exciting and transparent. So now, Mayor, if it's, I would like to introduce Andrew Dance to the dais or to the podium to talk a little bit more about his proposal and what they have planned for 314 Clematis Street.
Very good.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. Am I controlling this from here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to be back.
Just state your name again for the record. I know
Very
it's
sorry. Andrew Dance with Brand Atlantic. We're located at 111 Olive in West Palm Beach.
Thank you.
So 314 Clematis has been a bit of a passion project for me, and we're excited to move forward here. And I think the intent of this presentation is really to give you a sense for how we evaluated the property, what the potential business plans are that could work, and then to show you kind of how we're planning to do it. You know, I like to start presentations with kind of a clear statement about what we're thinking here. And this property has 100 feet of frontage on a very important block, and That's an important thing to note because, one, it means if it's done great, it can be a really big impact to the street and to the downtown. If it's not done, or if it's not done well, it will continue to be a blight on the block. So our objective, we're partnering with Blue Water Advisors. Blue Water is a local group. They have an office in Boca Raton and in West Palm Beach. Alex Griswold runs a real estate group, and this has been a kind of a marriage that's been evolving over time. I'm really excited to do some work with them. They're local and have a real interest in the success of the city. Just there's some imagery just to discuss qualifications. In the foreground of this is 111 Olive, the redevelopment of the Galleria building that we've just completed. You can see some of the imagery here. On the top right, that's the Pub Belly Sushi restaurant that's probably a month away from being completed, located on Clematis. And some other imagery with the office lobby that's been relocated to Olive and some office space. This was just discussed before. This is 300 Banyan, which is near completion. Have had a ton of leasing success with that as well. But I think probably the reason I'm showing this stuff, the thing I'd like to leave you with is we really focus on F&B, food and beverage and hospitality as a key to all of our developments, but particularly in the Clematis waterfront district, where it's just a place where there's so much pedestrian traffic and such a great opportunity to kind of bring new, incredible tenants to the market, and do it in kind of innovative ways. The bottom right image is our restaurant we recently announced, which is Kima, which is a Greek restaurant out of New York City that was voted #1 Greek restaurant over a couple other famous ones, one even coming here, so happy to see that. Chris just walked through this. The one thing he didn't mention was over the 5-year hold period, this will be generating, we estimate $600,000 of tax revenues, not including, I think there will be sales tax also on top of the progress payments are being deemed lease payments, so the number's even a little bit higher. So this is kind of how we start with things. We use a lot of data but this is kind of just showing on the left axis, the vertical axis is investor demand, meaning if we're going to build this thing and we want to bring a partner in or we want to sell it in 5, 10 years, whatever, this is kind of what they're looking for. And then from the tenant side, kind of what the tenant interest level is. We do have a bit of a competitive advantage over pretty much everybody in the market of what type of tenants are looking at Clematis Street, and what they're, kind of how commercially viable it is. The things that I'm not seeing kind of really in demand right now is kind of like for this type of space. So specifically, the challenge here is the second floor. There is a line out the door to lease the ground floor spaces. The second floor is really the challenge, and so that's kind of how we kind of looked at this. And office users without dedicated parking is a non-starter. At least at these purchase prices, to kind of make something that is viable for the development. Restaurant users, the kind of second floor restaurant uses are difficult. But what we did see is this kind of category that's, I know it's not really new, but it's kind of emerging as very important, and there's a lot of great operators in the space, is kind of entertainment-focused food and beverage. And what I mean by that, and you can, I'll let you read, but this is a real thing. Historically, people would want to go out, and this was go out and drink, and that was kind of to loosen up, and you're hopefully going to meet a man or woman who's going to be the potential to kind of go on for a longer life together, and that really has really changed how the technology and the dating apps. it's just not what people are looking to do. They're actually looking for authentic experiences. So you're seeing a lot of, whether it's performances like music lounges, or in this case, what we're seeing is, I gave a few examples. These are actually tenants we're in discussions with. One of them was just here. Chris was kind enough to come down and tour for the 7th time last week. But Punch Bowl Social is these are all uses that are users that are kind of in fairly similar typology of city as West Palm Beach, like Denver, Nashville, Austin. And Punch Bowl Social is they're all activated, so you're kind of things you can do with a drink in your hand is probably the best way to say it. And Painted Duck is an Atlanta concept. That's Duck Pin Bowling is a reference, but they all have multiple things to do and multiple places to kind of hang out, and really encourage group activity. 5-Iron Golf is a New York City concept that's just got a big investment from Danny Meyer's company, Union Square Hospitality. It's golf simulators, but a bar and a restaurant, and it's kind of a place where people are actively doing it. It's not just golf simulators; it's leagues and of course birthday parties and stuff like that. But it's really more about interaction and engagement. I will point out as we move into the next portion of the presentation, the spaces you're seeing there have substantial ceiling heights. They require kind of an open air feel to them. They don't really work with low ceiling heights, but they're big chunky users. They tend to be about 20,000 square feet, and the second floor of 314 Clematis is about 15,000 feet. The ground floor a little bit less because of the covered patio out front. There are, kind of the next step of the analysis is kind of looking at the property itself. I think probably everyone's heard the challenges of Clematis retail, where they're 150-foot deep properties, and it just becomes less valuable as you get deeper and deeper and deeper. And the other side of that is this building has 17-foot column grid, so that's the left to right. Every 17 feet, there's a post, and that creates a challenge for demising a space. You don't want to, the users don't want to have a ton of columns or posts in the space. The other challenge here, the second floor particularly, there's just very limited windows, and they're small window apertures. There's few of them, and those are largely because this was a department store, and department stores don't want to have a lot of natural light coming in there. It was more of a way to make the building look more appropriate architecturally. The ceiling height at 314 is 12 feet. On the second floor, it's I want to say 15 or 16 feet on the ground floor, which is generous and appropriate. These tenants all start out with their LOIs, and when they kind of approach you, like, where are my employees parking? And you need to have an answer for that. And with this, typically the answer is like right next door, kind of the city garage, which isn't necessarily what they want to hear, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what we have to say. And the last bullet on here, kind of creating a new building while preserving the historic facade. We don't do, our DNA is not doing kind of simple projects, and particularly, but we do put our kind of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And the most important thing I'd say from the market's perspective, everyone's reacting to new. They're really having a positive reaction to new. That's for tenants and for investors, just to see that something is brand new. And that kind of helps create enduring value for the property. That is a very difficult thing to do with this facade. I actually think it's beautiful. It has great detail in it, but it is a lion's share of the Clematis elevation, and it doesn't give you a chance to kind of there's not a lot of chance to manipulate it. Opportunity to do it. So. Here it is. How do we do it? How do we address those challenges? So I'm just going to walk through the ground floor, then the second floor, and then give you some other perspectives. First, you see in the back, this is a vestige of a previous proposal we've had to the city, which was to access 6 parking spots off the alley. There are bollards at either end of at the east and west ends of the alley behind the property. Our proposal includes installing automatic gates that would have security. They wouldn't be imposing. We would make sure that they're in character of the city and all the beautiful work that the CRA has done in the city. But it would just give an opportunity to solve. It does 2 things. One, it solves the employee parking requests that we hear from the tenants to get their attention. And the second is it takes 25 feet off the back of the building, so it starts to eat away at the depth of the property. On the front of the ground floor, there is the existing patio, which we'll keep and enhance the canopies to make it look better. But what we're seeing as we've kind of been in the market for about, I guess, 6 months or so, talking to tenants, how this would demise would be roughly half and half. The second floor user would take the page south half of this of the ground floor plan and integrate an internal stair and use the existing elevator. We'll upgrade that. But also splitting this thing up along the column grid line, now you're only dealing with one line of posts that come through each space. So now it's no longer a posts everywhere, it's just posts down the middle. So it helps in that regard actually pretty substantially. The second floor, this was kind of the wake up in the middle of the night, God, I finally figured it out moment, which is the right edge of the screen where it says Clematis Street. That's the historic facade there where we're proposing to demolish the ceiling, the building kind of behind the facade. I use this word cautiously, but we're going to make the facade, the historic facade, kind of an architectural ruin. Meaning we're going to take the glass out of the window apertures and have them be an ability to kind of have, for people walking down the street to look up and see into the private terrace where we'll have, there most likely will be a big shade tree, there'll be light, string lights, there'll be just kind of very cool things happening there, and also you can hear what's going on, if there's music playing. And it gives a chance to have something that's very unique, I would say one of one. I've only seen this in Mexico City, but I'm sure it exists somewhere else in the US. But I think it's a kind of a clever way to handle something and also to create, the wall that's now the new wall that is in front of the building, set 27 feet back, whether that's glass or has more other types of masonry details. That will, in effect, become brand new, and now the entire building's brand new. In addition, we're going to pop up a big area, kind of TBD exactly where it goes, but it'll go along the column grid somehow, to have a center area on the second floor, retail space for these entertainment, food and beverage operators. That'll be 16 feet tall. That's where the bar can go. It will also eliminate more posts. They'll just the posts. It'll be the pop-up will be structurally self-supporting, so you'll no longer have posts that are in that light-shaded pink area. So what we've done here, we've now created a terrace that is really unique in the market, that will be have kind of visibility from the street. It'll be more powerful than having signage. It'll actually, people just have curiosity what's going on up there. And also have a much more usable space. This future-proofs the building as well. So whether this becomes if one of our tenants ends or a new buyer comes in 10 years later and they want to say, I want to make this my office space. In fact, when I thought of this, I was like, actually, we should make this our office because I thought it was that cool. But it will have your own kind of private Just the wall is the existing facade, the historic facade is pretty high. I think it's probably about 12 feet high, so it'll be, really create privacy. This gives you another image of kind of what's happening here. You can see the existing facade on the right, us pulling back, 27, about 28 feet for that terrace. So it's generous, popping up the ceiling 4 feet for about 56 feet. And now we have all spaces that are completely usable. The building functions and it can work for multiple purposes, but really because of parking, it kind of has to be retail. I do think that we could even attract restaurants to come into the space, not just the kind of these entertainment focused guys, and we've had interest at that level, but we've been, here's another kind of, we haven't spent a ton of money on renderings and stuff like that, but this, as you can see, the kind of the mullions are out. You're looking up into the building, and it's kind of a cool thing to have kind of this perforated wall that is with action happening behind it. Here's some examples of kind of upper floor terraces with some landscape, using some urban context to frame them. It's a nice thing, to be honest. I think that the bars and kind of the restaurants that exist on Clematis are very successful. But if you want to elevate the quality or the offering, I'm finding that it's better to be just off of Clematis. We did that with 300 Banyan, kind of being just off on the side street. I think being up a level also, we're seeing that being a way to kind of attract, kind of even higher end tenants for that stuff. So this is a test fit using the demising we just showed you. This is not a plan per se, but this actually are to scale everything. This actually would be for a punch bowl social, where you're seeing duck pin bowling on the left. Let me see if I can read here. This is kind of a random, not random, but this is an assortment of all the different types of things they have. It's an upscale execution. This isn't, it won't feel like just for kids. This will feel very appropriate for all of us to kind of go in there and hang out. But I would say, as a person who, I live in New York and bring my kids down here on vacation or for weekends, whatever, and this is downtown West Palm Beach, because the work that you guys have done is very much a resort environment. It feels like you can kind of float around freely. Mom and dad can go have dinner at Lenora's, and then the kids want to go. But there's not a lot of opportunities or things for the kids to do right now, teenage kids and even younger. So I think having an offering that is clean fun, that doesn't necessarily demand having, the kids don't feel so tempted to kind of have a fake ID and do whatever, and that this becomes a place that has, checks that box, and I think that really is consistent with the demographics, meaning kind of like the people move down here. A lot of family age parents are moving down here and are currently here and looking for kind of the downtown area to meet their needs, and it's kind of trending less to be about 20-year-olds going out till 4 a.m. That's the ground floor. This is kind of a second floor execution. So there's 4 bowling lanes, some golf simulators, some darts. You see the patio with a big bar with a bunch of seats where people can sit, post up and eat. That's a kitchen and restrooms and kind of back of house in the top left. So that's what 20,000 feet looks like for this tenant. We're actively in discussions. Obviously, we can't move forward with anything until there's something to move forward with. But we're excited to do this. I think it'll be an amazing project. I think it will kind of address the challenges in an amazing way for Clematis Street with this property. And take it away from its kind of current condition being dark and kind of where the entertainment district kind of ends right now, at least for the 100, 200, 300 blocks. So I think that's kind of what I got. But we're excited about it. We hope you will be excited. I promise you we'll make you proud. and it's something we're ready to do right away.
Thank you for that presentation. Can you put the screen back up and go back 2 slides? Yeah, so this is the first floor?
It's the first floor, so that the entire page is the first floor. So there would be I've focused really from I should have said this in the outset, Mr. Mayor. I know I can fill 5,000 square feet
Okay.
on
All right.
that. That's going to be any number of users. The line's long. I've just spoken with all of them, and the ones that I didn't move forward with 111 Olive or 300 Banyan, I've been honestly sharing those tenants with other landlords, including Mook at the Como building, to make sure that we have, we've done all this work to find, we run, national merchandising campaigns to find the right tenants for our properties. So I know.
So there'll be something there. It just won't.
There's going to be something
Okay.
great there, but it's most likely, it'll be food and beverage, most likely. To be honest, I have not seen a kind of a soft goods retailer expressing real interest in being able to pay rent and on Clematis yet. I mean, and it feels like a place where you want to walk and go out. You want to pop in and do, whether it's have dinner and do whatever. But I really think it's really food and beverage centric, whether it's kind of quick serve for breakfast, lunch, or whatever, or if it's more of a bar, wine bar, or restaurant. But it'll be something like that.
Okay, all right. I think it's a very exciting concept. We clearly don't have anything like this downtown. I don't know what the market is for these types of spaces. I defer to you, but if you believe there's a market that you could make some money off of, I think it'd be great. I mean, so the unique character and the use of the space and your imagination and how to minimize some of the negatives that you identified earlier is quite exciting. Commissioner Ward, then President Ward, and Commissioner Lambert, and Commissioner Fox.
I just have a comment. I think you nailed it with trying to find alternatives for families. I've talked about it with multiple of my friends. I think I've talked about it with Commissioner Lambert with a new baby. It's hard to find places to go. That's actually, a lot of times I'll end up at Skunkworks because he's got a balcony or, an area outside that my daughter can run around. There's not many places where we can go and enjoy and make sure that they're inside an area, they can't get hit, and they're doing something fun. So I think you've nailed it with this. And I love the creativeness of the second floor of keeping the old facade and reusing it. I think that'll add just a cool dynamic extra, just, wow, look at that building and look how they were able to preserve the historic nature while also reutilizing it and opening it. So as someone who used to go in there when it was a club, you're right, it's very dark. And so you need to bring the light in. So I think that you've done a great job with this presentation.
Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you. No, I also appreciate how you described the creativity that went into coming up with this, whether it was late night epiphanies about how to utilize the space, because that is what we've heard over the years. I do have 2 questions. The first is related to, I think you called it an upscale entertainment center. And I think that just one of the things that I want to make sure, and it sounds like you've done this, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask. We were really trying to make sure that this doesn't become another nightclub, and that was the original reason of why we purchased this. And so, I appreciate, as Commissioner Ward said, that, this is more family friendly. I guess this kind of leads into my second question is I know that there was the bowling alley, kind of gaming, restaurant center in City Place, and then that didn't continue, and I don't really know the reasons why it didn't, but I'm sure you've studied that as well. So I'm wondering if you could comment on those 2 things.
Sure. With the exception of, can you give, do I have control of this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going the wrong direction. No, I'm going the right direction. With just on this example, like Five Iron Golf would be the only place where you're showing up with your clubs. Like where you're going out and you're going in there with some intention of playing golf, and that's kind of what you're going to do for the night. And they do a nice job with it because it is, they have kids leagues, and I know we have the park here, which is the best thing of all time. But there in every other city, golf simulators are becoming access to golf, and it's by far the fastest growing kind of. Social activity, or urban social activity. But Painted Duck, Punch Bowl Social, we have some other users, but they're up on the screen so you can see. You're popping in here. You're not going bowling. No one is showing up here with a bowling ball or a bowling glove or anything like that. This is really about something you're coming here to. You're kind of floating around. You're doing stuff.
I can't dust off my bowling shirt?
Yeah, you can wear your bowling shirt, but they probably won't like you with their bowling ball. But this is way more about just social engagement. It's a place to have. They've got great food. It's it's probably a level or two above bar fare, and it is a place where you can. It feels like a place where there's a pool table open. Let's just go shoot some pool or whatever. So it just has a, and these are proven successful operations in in the cities that. I think of when I think of where West Palm Beach is going and going to be better than, but the emergent secondary cities like the Nashvilles and the Austins and the Charlottes, that's where these users have gone, and they've gone into the cool neighborhoods, and they are not, they're really not, there's not any nightclub notion at all about this. This is maybe a place you go to before. Before a baseball, if you're at, in I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, you go to Punch Bowl Social. It's right across the street from the baseball stadium, and it's like, kids are going there, adults are hanging out there. It's just a place. It feels very natural and organic to be there, but there's nothing purposeful about this, and they don't. There's music playing, but there's no. I think it's not even a possibility for them to kind of morph into nightclubs. They're really about making money. I think their splits of revenues tend to be something like, 40% beverage, 50% or 30% beverage, probably 50% food, and 20% activities. So they're making money on the activities. It's an important part of their thing, and that's kind of why people go. And it does solve for all hours of the day, which I think is a really nice thing to do because you can do birthday parties after school during the early afternoons and weekends, and they serve the same purpose for adults and grown-ups at night, whether there's games on. Which reminds me, of course, the Rangers are also up 3-1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. So, but this just does have the idea was clean fun. I think that's kind of the missing hole that I'm seeing in the market right now.
Well, thank you. And if, 111 Olive is a good indication of the work that you do, I know that this will be just as high quality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plan on having any pinball machines in there?
I think they have pinball machines, and we'll put one in there if you like them. That's good.
I know it's old
They've
school.
asked. I've had two requests for all the historic photos. So Chris's office is going to become at some point a repository for all the historic photos that are throughout the existing 314 space.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. I am a downtown resident, and one of the things I hear the most is that we don't have enough things to do downtown that we can walk to. So this is really exciting. I think that residents are really going to love having this. My question is, it might be for staff, but you mentioned about the facade, and we are hearing a lot about historic preservation downtown these days. So I'm curious if there's any requirements, I guess, of this building. I don't know the answer, but you obviously have been working on it. But are there any requirements that we should know about in terms of the historic preservation for the building?
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm going to ask Anna Maria to come up. She would probably be the best source. I don't believe that it's encumbered by any requirements.
I don't think it's designated, but it's eligible for designation as part of the Clematis Conservation District. So it's some level of desired protection, but not designated.
Yet the only block that has a designated historic designation is the 500 block of Clematis Street.
Okay. Any follow-up, Commissioner?
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we're working with our historic preservation team, I guess, to make sure that whatever they would like us to be following in terms of keeping the needed history. I know that we're working on something similar in the historic Northwest where if certain walls stay, then everything else is fine. But I just would want to make sure that we're working with them on that. Thank you.
But let's make it clear that we as a city commission have the final say on that. So I don't want the tail wagging the dog. The Historic Preservation Board may have their opinion, but the final say is really with this body. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-26.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing opposition, motion carries unanimously. Okay, Mr. Dance, not that you don't have enough to do, but we certainly appreciate your interest. Thank you. Look forward to working with you. Chris, what are the next steps then? We move to a contract that also comes back to this body?
Yes, Mayor. What we'll do is, based on the term sheet, a purchase and sale, or a lease to purchase and sale agreement will come back to the board, and that is currently scheduled for June 10th.
All right, very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. That is the last item on this agenda. So this meeting of the CRA is hereby adjourned. Thank you.